Well, hey, good morning, everybody. I don't know if you can hear the birds chirping in the background. It's about that time of year. It's turn off that air conditioning, open them windows time. This is Justice's Waiting Room. This is a daily live podcast where we discuss news and politics. And first things first, sorry I'm late. Uh, Normally, wife and I donate plasma on Sundays. Not plasma, that pays. We donate platelets, much more in need. Um, And so typically either make breakfast, get breakfast, or my wife comes into my office at 7:50 and says breakfast is on the porch. So I had a half a waffle and some eggs and some biscuits and gravy and some chicken cutlet, like chicken fried chicken. We eat at this Lincoln Pancake House around the corner from my house. It's a little. I mean, there's a few of them. It's. I think it's a chain, so I don't want to necessarily like pump their shit or anything. But hey, good morning, happy Sunday. But yeah, you know me. I try to be consistently showing up 8 a.m. I think we've done that every single day. By the way, since shit. What do we say we started this? Something 12th. It started on the 12th of the month, and I think it started December 12th. I want to say the show started December 12th. So I think we've done this every day for over 6 months. And I think we've only, Cece just said the temperature dropped 40 degrees from Thursday and Friday to today. It's crazy. Thinking about everybody that is experiencing adverse weather here in the middle part of the United States here recently. We've had an outbreak of storms. Fortunately for me, I got nothing to report. And again, one of the things that I'll always point out as an empathetic person, uh, I take no joy when it doesn't hit us. You get what I'm saying? Like, I'm not happy that there was major tornadoes in a six-state area. Oh, and we didn't get hit. Ha! Right? Like, no, man, that's like the wrong attitude to have. Um, when I leave my house, I try to see if anyone near me had any damage, right? Because it may not affect you directly, but it has like an impact. You know, storms have impacts. Families have to move. You know, I watched. I saw a picture of this storm path, this tornado path in London, Kentucky, and I'll see if I can find it. But it's like the fingerprint of God, man, just ripping across. It just take everything, flat Earth for just miles and miles. And a lot of people, a lot more people than I think should have died have died, and that's like an odd thing to say out loud. But last I saw that there was a single tornado killed like 29 people, and it's because the NOAA has been shut down. Our early warning system's been disbanded. So it's on us, you know. And I'm this isn't me taking up a cross. This is me pointing out, like, hey, if you're like super interested in the weather and you live in the Midwest, man, we got a hole. We got a hole that needs filled. We need someone like Ryan Hall, even though I would totally recommend Ryan Hall. Hey, he needs sisters. You know what I mean? He needs sister channels. He needs other people doing the same kind of shit, getting their information from the same kind of places, getting their education the same kind of places, and you're gonna make a zillion fucking dollars talking about basically replacing an early warning system that the U.S. government, this current regime specifically, has disbanded and defunded. Just want to point out we have an early warning system. We have the NOAA and the National Weather Service. Yep. And so if you keep seeing these things getting taken down, then you can understand how it's on us as the people, as the survivors. We got to have an NOAA. We got to have a National Weather Service. We have to have people like Ryan Hall. Okay, what about this though? So for just can you hear me now? It's probably not as loud. This is a work work headset. That was pretty funny. I just like reached behind me, just like. So yeah, if I can do anything, right, yeah, Zeke, that was what that was just being like, yeah, it was fucking smooth. So, morning, Bob. By the way, Bob's a fucking sweetheart. Bob was gifted an NCAA Final Four basketball that says Indianapolis on it when he was a kid, and he hung on to it, and he was like, "Hey, you live in Indiana, you love basketball. Let me send this to you." So for everybody that already loves Bob, Bob's here. Um, but yeah, you can if you're having trouble hearing me on YouTube, turn your headphones up a bit. I can see the volume mixer, and it's just not as loud on this. I don't I don't think I can really I don't think I can really make it what it was. You know what I mean? That I think that headset just blew out. Oh, by the way, so I didn't post this video last night. Um, but I have now been with my current employer like 4 or 5 months or whatever, right? And by the way, I hit a milestone yesterday. It's called Rolling Million. So in the last 30 days, I've enrolled $1 million worth of debt, which is fucking awesome. I'm trying to help you. For those of you that don't know, I work in finance, and my goal, my everyday, every call mission is to get people out of debt. Put whatever money you're putting towards credit cards in your fucking pocket and get you out of debt ASAP, and get money in your bank and save that money up in case something bad happens. Like the NOAA and the National Weather Service get defunded and disbanded, and there's a string of fucking really nasty tornadoes. It just gets to rip up. Not where I live, not my house, but a lot of people suffer. Okay. A lot of people are suffering because of the ignorance of this administration, and many more people have and will die unnecessarily. All because of Russian and Chinese propaganda. And I want to make sure that I say that like what you see in the U.S. government right now is not that's not the best of us. And there's a reason that I show up every day, sit here with you and talk about the news and politics. I'll be your Huckleberry. I'll sit here every day and just talk about what's really going on in the world. I'll be like that uncle or that dad that you had that never talked to you about shit. Like my dad that never talked to me about shit, right? That worked for the government and was in the military and hated the fucking government. Do you get it? Chicago had a dust storm yesterday. We shared. Jolly said, "I hear you." Yeah, well, TikTok, I'm just screaming into the void, so not really worried about that. Okay, but I'm gonna start sharing this content more every day. In the wake of the lives lost, as sort of like in memoriam to all the people that you and I don't know that have died because of the incompetence of this administration. To our knowledge, 9 people in ICE custody have died so far in this regime, and they're requesting more money. Uh, those those bodies belong to this regime and anyone who voted for it. All 9 of those people that we know about right now that have died in ICE custody, if you voted for Donald Trump, you have blood on your hands. The 29 people that died in these most recent storms because of the defunding and dismantling of the NOAA and the National Weather Service, those bodies are on you. I sleep like a fucking baby every night. You know why? 'Cause I would never vote for or carry water for someone who means to harm others. You knew it was coming, and you did it anyway. And you wonder why we don't talk. I don't have anything to say. In fact, every day something happens where I'm like, and you wonder why we don't talk. You wonder why we'll never be in the same room again. Now, say all that to say, we have to do this ourselves. No one's going to do it for us. And what I mean is, I shared Ryan Hall, who is another white cis male from sort of the Midwest, has a little bit of a twang, okay? Makes a whole lot of fucking money talking about weather and particularly storms. And hey, TikTok, to all y'all in the southeast part of the United States, it's hurricane season. That shit's on its way. So while and one of the things that I catch people fucking doing is laughing about people dying, and that just makes you fucking sick. Just so you know, if a little part of you doesn't fall apart every time you hear that somebody died unnecessarily, it's because you're callous, and it'll catch up on you. It'll catch up to you. My therapist at the VA told me My therapist at the VA told me the average age of a white cis male seeking mental health help in the VA system is 68 years old. So, like I said, if you don't, it will haunt you forever. So, eventually, y'all got to wake the fuck up. It can't just be about me establishing the American Socialist Party trying to get 600 people elected to fundamentally change the way this country's run. It's going to take a lot more than that. A lot more than that. People are going to have to decide. My mission in life is to ensure equality for all. I'm going to do that by being pro union, right? I'm also going to try to, as best I can, help other people. But mostly, I want other people to have universal health care, education, income, and housing. And I'm a socialist. And being pro equality and pro union and wanting everyone to have universal healthcare, education, income, and housing, these are the very foundational pieces of the American Socialist Party, which I'm starting. You can find us on Blue Sky. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter. We're not doing much right now. I'm trying not to draw ire because I've already drawn ire. I already have someone in my local community uh, that is targeting me regularly. By the way, they're making content and pointing people to us. And if my audience grows because of a hater, thank you. I don't even need a marketing department. I just need haters. Okay? And again, one of the things that I've said on my channel for a long time and even on my shows is that a study came out right before the election that said just what Cece said. Donald Trump's inaction regarding COVID-19 caused 750,000 people to die. So again, if you voted for Donald Trump, you got bodies on you. You got blood on your hands. And there's a reason why when I walk into a room, most of those people remain fucking seated. They're not standing up chest to chest with me, doing that MAGA shit no more. Nah, fam. You got bodies on you. You ain't sleeping at night. You look strained and stressed and tired. And here I am, every fucking day, like a thorn in your side, showing up, telling the world the truth, what is actually happening out here, and not being particularly left or right. One of the things that you've got to notice by now is I have absolutely no problem shitting on a Democrat. You hands in your pockets, status quo allowing, do nothing motherfuckers. What are we talking about? It's just as corrupt to be making money behind the scenes while the world's falling apart. It's just as corrupt. It's just as corrupt to say nothing. I don't know about y'all, but we watched Boondock Saints when I was a kid, and it literally is the opening title screen is this saying, all it takes, what is it? All it takes for the something of evil is for good men to do nothing. It sounds very Catholic, by the way. Trump does love the poorly educated. Honey, I went to Purdue University. Get off my lawn. Or go mow my lawn. I gotta mow my lawn today. Somebody's gotta do it. Tim Waltz. I love when somebody comes into my comment section and projects. Right? What I've tried to tell you is instead of glorifying violence, you should be participating in boycott, protest, and strike. A lot of you have said, Jared, I live too remote to protest, and I've said, make a sign and put it in your yard. Okay. And then beyond that, you can participate in a boycott of sorts. You see, you're the consumer, right? You use Facebook threads, IG, WhatsApp, Messenger, Twitter, Amazon. You need to stop. You need to just delete those programs from your devices and stop using them and shop locally. I know that you don't want to leave your fucking house, but do business locally. Hmm. You should know who those people are. You should know who you can and cannot trust. You know what you need to know, man? You need to know which hardware store to go to. Because I can identify two hardware stores, for example, in my community, one of which is owned by a Trumper that looks like a fucking dump, that when you go in, it's wildly expensive because of a lack of inventory management and a general business acumen required in order to run that fucking hardware store. And then you go to the other one, the one that's closer to Geist, that's run by women, and it's fucking clean and it smells good and it's organized. And oh, by the way, it costs less because they know how to manage inventory. Count. Hmm. So do business locally. Home Depot's one. Yeah, one of the things I've never really dipped my toes in is Lowe's or Home Depot because I don't know. And I'm one of those people. I can't fucking stand when somebody that's in charge doesn't ever say I don't know. So for example, like the Home Depot Lowe's argument, I would rather be told and shown. You get what I'm saying? Like I want somebody that was like I worked here or I worked here. Here's why the depot's the spot. Here's why Lowe's ain't, right? By the way, I've dropped the Chiefs as of yesterday. Found out our state approved to subsidize stadiums for the Chiefs and Royals under threat of moving to Kansas. So what Bob is saying is that the ownership of the Kansas City Chiefs is attempting to extort Missouri out of paying for their stadiums and threaten to move not that fucking far away across state line. For those of you that don't know, that's one of the things that's really unique about Kansas City. And Bob, correct me if I'm wrong. I have been to Kansas City for at least two football games. Um, isn't Kansas City bordered Missouri and Kansas? It like splits the cities, or not maybe splits the cities. Yeah, they're taking yeah, understand, hey, Cece though, understand it ain't gonna fly. Yeah. Oh, anyone that has any amount of money has to be a Trumper because Donald Trump promised you money and tax cuts to billionaires. I could think of 32 of those, another 30 NBA teams. Those are all billionaire owners. You could be a Colts fan with me. Our unis are sweet. St. Louis is a twin city. I didn't know St. Louis was a twin city. I thought it was entirely in Missouri. Um, yeah, me too. I've been a Colts fan since Captain Comeback. Yeah, yeah, I have about 8 foot tall twiggy bushes outside my window, so the birds sit in the bushes and sing into my window while I'm at work all day. Lived in Napatown. Napatown for a couple of years. Fuck yeah, I love Indianapolis. Indianapolis is beautiful. There's a Kansas City, Kansas, and Kansas City, Missouri. Okay, dumb question. Are they next to each other or are they in different? You get what I'm saying? I gotta go look now, Bob. Sorry, buddy. Is it a big deal? Fuck yeah, it's a big deal. It's extortion in broad daylight. What are we talking about? Look up Kansas City, Missouri. And when you look at it, I can't see a state line. Well, that's dumb. Where's the state lines? There it is. Yeah, it runs right through the middle of the city, north and south. Okay. Somebody said something about being a Browns fan. You need to hang the fuck on. You need to hang the fuck on. They are Baker Mayfield away from being perennial playoff contenders. They just made a terrible decision at quarterback and have paid for it dearly forever. And then they got an extreme rebate on their next starting quarterback, and they have gotten to shield him from all kinds of nonsense. That Sanders boy is the truth. He can really play. He did not have good offensive line protection, and he did not have that good of weapons in college, and he still completed 76% of his passes. And did get sacked a fucking lot. He did take a lot of sacks, but he didn't get hurt and come out. So he's also tough, right? And he was mobile enough in college. Like he run the ball enough, right? So he can actually really play. And Dylan Gabriel is good too, though, right? But I think that was the NFL making sure Cleveland is flush because they got hosed on Deshaun Watson. Hmm. True Blue Ravens fan. U of L's my alma mater. Lamar's my guy. Do I fucking love Lamar Jackson? Uh, not one of the greater travesties in the modern NFL draft is Lamar Jackson not being a top three pick, top five pick. What was that, 2017, 2018? I'll never forget the interview with Deion Sanders and Lamar Jackson right after he was drafted. And you could see Lamar Jackson's teeth are fucking chattering. He is pissed that he just got drafted last in the first round. I can't tell you how many University of Louisville football games I watched unironically because of Lamar Jackson, and I have never said that about another football player, period, where I was like, oh, I watched all these games because of this player. I watched, I think, 3 years of Lamar Jackson at University of Louisville with a motherfucking cannon and faster than anyone on the field playing ACC football. And then when he gets drafted, and you're like, he's the best physical specimen at the position I've ever seen him. It's his mobility. One of the important statistics that I learned as a coach is that at the NFL level, 70% of completed passes are out of the pocket. So guess what? You would really like your quarterback to have outside of a motherfucking cannon legs. You want him to have really good legs. And Lamar Jackson, not only really good escapability, really good legs, he's a offensive threat on his own. Notwithstanding like the scope of the offense, he's just that much of a better of an athlete, and has been his whole career. But yeah, I was super hot when he got drafted last, and I want to point out that Baltimore also traded up and took a tight end ahead of him that didn't make it, I don't believe. Uh, and Lamar Jackson's won like a couple MVPs, getting picked last, right? I smell that with Shadur Sanders. Hmm. Yeah, yep. Something to think about that people have it all wrong is that team wins are not individual statistics. So when you're comparing two players, you have to take results out of it because those belong to the team and put the player head to head. And what are they doing? And when you compare them, wins are a factor, they're just not the factor. Hmm. But as we said before, if you are getting tired of sitting on your duff and have decided, Jared, I'm going to go out and protest, they're about to take my mama's Medicaid, let me guide you to a couple subreddits. Okay, Reddit has been my place to get my daily news. Okay, so naturally we're using news, politics, world politics, and then what I stumbled upon was called suppressed news. And this kind of fits in the vein of the show, where what we're trying to do is show you what's actually going on, not sensationalize the news, and just talk about what it is, though, right? Okay. Hundreds of thousands marched through central London. Did you know that happened to protest what's going on in Gaza? Yeah, Kansas City is a twin city. And Minneapolis is a twin city, right? Minneapolis and something else. Because I live in the city of Lawrence, right? So there's Indianapolis, the city. I live in Lawrence, which I would argue makes us a Twin City. And I'm totally kidding. Although the Lawrence PD does have a TV show. So, so yeah, go to R50501. And remember, one of the things that people said early is we'll never make it as a country because we won't protest every single day. And not only is my existence a protest, um, but there's a website that every single day, there's a protest. Mayday movementusa.org. Okay. Ah, so actually, all events were canceled this weekend because there's an urgent assistance needed after a flash storm. The impeachment action center at 35 Columbus Drive Northeast was impacted by a flash storm today in the process of regrouping. So hey, that storm affected the Mayday movement. And they had to cancel their events for this weekend. You can donate to them. Remember, they said people said like we won't protest every day, and I say bullshit. Actually, they will protest every fucking day. People's entire existences are becoming uh living out in real time in protest. Um, we even have a little calendar. Little calendar. I try to regularly attend protests. It's almost like going to church. So again, as I said, when we kind of got going, I remember there were people that came around. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not everyday protesting because my job is anti-capitalist. So do you understand how important it is for me to go to work every day when my job is anti-capitalist? My job is to get people to stop paying interest. My job is a socialist position. My socialist heart is full when I tell someone you're done paying interest. You can pay interest on your mortgage or that nice car you buy. Otherwise, we're done. We're not doing that. For the record, look at this. You see how I don't have big bags under my eyes and I'm able to show up every day and talk to you for 90 minutes? You know why? Because I'm not buried in unsecured debt. I want you to be in that position. Stat. I need you drinking better coffee, is where I think it starts. I think the world will be a better place if people drank higher quality coffee. I know that sounds capitalist of me. I'm not talking about building a business. I already did all that shit. Okay. I'm talking about like, I think the world needs better coffee. I don't think we drink enough coffee. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Empress. Yes, exactly. Here, I posted the calendars. Let's talk about the little calendar of events. So right now it is, I believe, the 18th. Today is a Save Our Trees protest. I would also proffer if any of my fans live in Indianapolis and you are an arborist, I have two treelings that are growing in a really bad spot and I need them pulled out. They are absolute, one of them flowers in the spring, purple, beautiful purple flowers, and the other one is a much younger treeling. Rather than cut it off or cut it and cut it out. I'd rather pull it and have somebody take it and plant it somewhere. I'm not interested in planting more trees in my property, right? Because they fall on my house or my neighbors. Come on, man, it's not smart. So I've got a tree and then a treeling that I need removed by an arborist, not someone who intends to like cut it up into little pieces. You know what I mean? If anybody wants to, you can just have it. Like it's a free tree, and it's not like a little guy either. It's I mean, you know what I mean? So, mm-mm. Ooh, look at the leopards eating face party eating leopard face. Uh, Kevin McCarthy saying the budget is a major, not getting the budget out of committee is a major misstep. Hey, I don't know if y'all realize this. This entire regime is a misstep. If misstep was the most like that's not the way to call. That's not what to call this. when they are when they are trying to cut the Medicaid budget by hundreds of billions of dollars to give tax breaks to billionaires who already don't choose good health care for their employees. I wanted to share this. One of my clients said yesterday, and so I'm careful to not name names or like places, but they told me that the company they worked for 17 years got bought out by a much larger competitor and company. And he said, we always had employee match healthcare and really good. Like whatever the best healthcare available to us, we voted on that and got that. Yeah, it was expensive for us, but it was like really good healthcare. They got bought out by a much bigger competitor, and you know what the first thing they did that was? Degrade their healthcare. Lower the company's expense into your healthcare program, get you on a lower cost plan, which has less benefits and has higher out-of-pocket costs. Mhm. All for profit, baby. Remember this when I tell you capitalism is a fucking disease. It's okay to want things and realize that you have to work for them. That's okay. There are lots of things that you love and want and work for that are out of your reach. That's just life. Cece said I only live 600 miles from the border of Canada. That's 10 hours. Yep. Yep. And again, one of the things I always want to point out how little amount of money you actually save by like crushing someone's healthcare. It's not that much. That should be the last thing that happens actually. The last thing that you should be doing is degrading your employees' healthcare. Yeah, that's what I figure. I just don't want it ripped out and destroyed or cut out. I could just cut it out. I need somebody that like cares and sees what I got and they're like, "Oh, that's a ba 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 ba." That's I don't care if it's worth money. It's growing at in a really bad both those trees are like within a foot of my house. Yeah. But understand that cutting people's healthcare. As someone that's owned my own business and was having to plan to be the owner of 450 units, who would have had to have staff and management and regular employees and full-time employees and part-timers, right? As somebody who had to plan for this, when I was looking at healthcare and my contribution versus my employees' contribution and all those things, that's not even something I wasn't willing to not do that for my employees. That was like the most important thing I could fucking do is just what there's a difference, a market difference between healthcare programs. Okay, talk to me about it. This one costs nothing and costs nothing. Okay, that sounds fantastic. This one costs a lot, and you're like, well, that sounds fucking terrible. What's the cost difference? It's negligible. What? Well, financially, it's actually negligible. The cost difference for you, your employer, for you to have good healthcare versus shit healthcare. It's actually not that much different. Pennies is what I'm saying. They are shafting you over pennies. That's how little value you actually have. It's not your salary, right? They can't be bothered to pay you more when you're awesome, right? At least that's the way I perceive it. Everywhere I've gone, I've overperformed, and then eventually they've decreased how much they pay us. It's called min-maxing dollar per hour, poker player's strategy to work. I don't know if anybody ever read that. Walmart shouldn't have to hide that prices are going up. Dumping paints, hit all TikTok. Yeah. And I want to make sure that we keep saying Donald Trump didn't get a $400 million airplane. Donald Trump got a 13, 14-year-old aircraft that had to be like refurbished before he could fucking fly in it. It's more like a relic. It more like belongs in a museum, not flying in it. It's archaic by most people's standards, but it's got gold in it. So Donnie likes it. Yeah, I saw Walmart is hiding their prices until you get to the register. Good luck with that, Walmart. You guess where I have not shopped in a long fucking time and will never shop. Yeah, that's right. Walmart. Mm-mm. No, 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 because you know what happened? I worked at a Walmart for it's not that big a deal, dogs. I worked at Walmart, but for Radio Shack. So I had to go through some of Walmart's corporate training, and I want to tell you about a video that they showed us when I first, yeah, baby, anybody knows about the training when you get hired at Walmart. You have to watch this video about the creation of Walmart. And they're kind of romantic about the Waltons, and fuck, why wouldn't you be romantic about Sam? He's a good guy, right? Was until his fucking business idea exploded and he became wealthy and started hoarding wealth. And again, this was after I got hired, and the first day I showed up at this Sam's Club here in Indianapolis, Indiana, on Michigan Road. The greeter was a veteran, and he came to attention and gave me a salute, and I was like, why the fuck are you saluting me in the parking lot of a fucking Sam's Club? And he was like, you look like you walk like a Marine, like you just look like a different kind of person. And I was like, I was in the Marine Corps. What the fuck you salute me for, devil? And he was just like, he explained to me that he'd worked for Walmart for the better part of 20 years and was still getting paid $11. So that was a that was a veteran, that the greeter at Walmart, them old people, they're being exploited the hardest. Yeah, that's right. I'm crushing your desire to ever go to a Walmart ever again in your motherfucking life. Um, so that was my first introduction to a Walmart employee, was someone who'd worked there the better part of 20 fucking years, was a greeter at fucking Sam's Club and got paid 11 fucking dollars an hour. Hmm. And was made to wear long sleeves, like long sleeve, long pant, like to wear pants to work, never allowed to wear shorts, always had to be wearing the Walmart polo with the pressed, by the way, pressed double breast vest they gotta wear. Um, mhm. He had I'm talking about the decade pin. I don't know if anybody's ever seen that on a Walmart tag before. Um, but I went into Walmart, and I thought I was just gonna go to the kiosk because I worked for Radio Shack. I'm here to sell cell phones and sign people up for cell phone service. And I had to go sit down and watch a half hour video and it had a test afterward. And I just want to point out that they dance all over the Walton founder's fucking grave over the building of Walmart and turned it into a fucking anti-union video at the end. So just so you all know, when you go to work for Walmart, not only will they goat fuck you, but the founder, they show you a video about the founding of Walmart and about how what had happened was, and I'm totally making this up, but it was like Sam Walton was able to procure goods and he started a grocer and he started to get other goods. So he opened it up and made it an open air market. And then OSHA. And then he had to close it up and put air conditioning and the lights in and shit and made it big and made it into the world's largest fucking retailer. Okay. Is he not a fucking great person? I don't fucking know. He probably was not happy when he died. Started off as a great idea. Try to run 450 of those and not be a prick. Right? That man was long dead. It's my first day. I don't even work here. I only work for this company. And I had to watch this video about the founder, Walton. And by the end of the video, it's an and it's like, because we're dancing on his grave, don't join a union. That was curtains. And you're like, what? So that video was, hey, look at our founder and all that he accomplished. He's dead. Don't join a union. That's what I got out of that. And they were like, "Can you leave, please?" Like, well, yeah, I would exactly love to do that. Mhm. So, as much as that sucks to find out, not only do they treat their employees like shit, I didn't even actually work at Walmart, and I had to watch a video about them deifying Sam Walton and telling us because Sam Walton sacrificed so much, don't join a union. And I was like, what is this horseshit? Like, and that's what they show at Walmart. Walmart is anti-union. Okay. Amazon's anti-union. There's one of the reasons I've told you stop using Amazon. Use it as a search engine. Go find what you want to buy, then push another couple buttons and go to the producer, buy it from them. Probably a lot less. Hmm. So we don't do business with those people. Yeah, but aren't Starbucks independently owned and lots of them are unionized? And I feel like it's kind of like lumping them all together to say that Starbucks, the corporation, is anti-union, but the actual establishments themselves are unionized. On the whole, I'm pretty positive. By the way, if you have a job that doesn't quite have a vocational, a like a pipe fitters union, there's what's called Working America. So if you have a job that doesn't have a union and you don't feel like you have a voice, um, may I recommend Working America? I joined Working America. Okay. I work in finance, and as you can imagine, finance is inherently anti-union, right? Because finance is about profit. That's all what the fuck we do. Okay. Make sure that you join a union. There shouldn't be a cost. I didn't pay money to join Work in America. Okay. And so it doesn't take much energy to join a union. Sorry about that. If you're on a fixed income, you need to be paying no interest. The way I think about it is if your paycheck isn't based on performance, you need to get away from interest altogether, right? You could just work harder if you need to pay interest, right? If you're in a job that does that. Yeah, actually, I thought about how big of a travesty it is that I said a different song when we were talking about Springsteen, a different song than Born in the USA. Um, what's crazy about the song is that we don't listen to the words. Yeah, the only problem when a merger fails is that you know that both companies are going to have to raise their prices to pay for that. And so the people suffer. There's a reason I've got on in here. There's a reason I've got on here every day and pitched unions and said we you all got to join unions. You want to find your elected officials because these people ain't it. It's the heads of unions. It's people whose job it is to get better working conditions, benefits, time off, right? Health care for themselves and their coworkers, right? Because again, one of the things I've learned from a fellow Marine, but one that was a Marine Corps sniper, is we don't rise to the occasion. You fall to your level of competency. So while you think I'm a gamer, I don't need to prepare at all. I can just show up and turn it on. That actually ain't it. That ain't it at all. Mm, 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 mm. Yeah, so I was born in Dayton, Ohio. I lived there until I was like 4, and then I moved from Dayton, Ohio to Geneva, Illinois, and I lived there from 4 to 8, and then we moved to Mooresville, Indiana, and I spent 8 years in Mooresville, Indiana, till I graduated high school, and then I went to Purdue University in Lafayette, Indiana, and then I came back to Indianapolis, Greenwood, and then obviously Greenwood fucking sucks. So I lost 100 pounds in 90 days and joined the Marine Corps Infantry and said, I'll just give my life to my country rather than live here. Har har. That's a joke on the south side of Indy. And then I have spent the last 20 years in Indianapolis. Better part of 20 years in Indianapolis, Indiana. I would argue I have spent most of my life in Indiana, in Indianapolis, over 20 years in Marion County alone. Most of 20 years, 18 years, I'd say. Mostly on the east and northeast sides. I've lived in Castleton. I lived at 16th and Downey. I lived at 38th and Emerson. Yeah, I like Meyer. That's where we shop. I go pick up my groceries. Been stuck in misery for 45 years. You weren't stuck. You were needed, Bob. A little bit of a lighter show today. One of the things I'm gonna not try to do on Sundays is go nearly as hard as you go during the week because there's not as many stories to tell, and as a result, we end up cherry picking depressing ass shit. Like Donald Trump's got this AI video floating around of him being the piano man and fucking it's spoofing um Taylor Swift and Bruce Springsteen, but the problem is it's an AI generated video, which means again, Donald didn't make that, and neither did anyone associated with him, you lazy fucking bums. That art is likely fucking stolen, as is probably the music in the videos, and I'm not even gonna do him the fucking service of watching it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not on Twitter anymore. I don't have to look this nasty shit in the face anymore. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna doom scroll my way to a heart attack or a stroke or an aneurysm. You know, that's the reason that I get on here every day with y'all and talk about what's actually going on, right? What has actually happened. Yeah, Donald Trump's trying to rule by fiat. Is that working out for him? Fucking no, it ain't working. Jesus. Bob, I'm a 64-year-old crabby bitch. I don't think you're a crabby bitch, CC. So here's Palestine's weightlifting champion, um, returning and finding his family under the rubble. Jesus. My doctor called me in a prescription. I received a notice that it had been filled. $849 a month. Insanity. Yeah, I know where Crystal Lake is. I took my wife back to Geneva, where I'm from, one time and showed her because my parents had the model home in Randall Square. So when you turn into the addition, you go to Lewis Road, turn right, go all the way to the end. We're on the right, we're the second house on the end on the right. Um, and it was all built up. The thing that was wild, and it was like I couldn't live here. It would make me very sad to live here. If you go, I can't remember the main road. What is that road that runs like, I don't know, north south that connects like Geneva, Batavia, Aurora, whatever. But it's like everything repeats itself like every 3 miles. So like your Home Depot, there's one on the left every like 3 miles on that road, and you're like, I don't want to live here. You know what I mean? Like it just repeats itself. You know what I mean? Like your kids go to the same-ish schools, same-ish. Yes. There's Dollar Generals, just you know what I'm saying? Like on the same road, on the same side, about the same businesses around it. Yeah, one of the things that I've made sure not to do is go out of my way to consume Donald Trump's material. Like whatever it is that O'Donnell Boy's putting that out, largely I ain't watching it. Is that in Ohio? Oh no, so Geneva, Illinois. There's a road, I can't remember what it's called, Geneva, Batavia. Yeah, it's one thing I've made sure not to do is don't put anything that man's doing in your brain hole. It's gonna sit there forever and rot. Hey, remember I told you the leopard eating face party eats leopard face? There's Marjorie Taylor Greene lashing out at the Republican Party, doing everything wrong. This is what happens. Yeah, I wouldn't and go through college with the intent of getting into politics. No. Mm-mm. He who wants power is the person who should not have it. Remember I said that. Remember to tell me he who wants power is precisely who should not have it. That that was aimed at Donald Trump. Elon Musk. People who clamor to power are the least able to equip it. Remember, we started the American Socialist Party, right? Major is 1800s history, minor was politics. It's awesome. Now, if he thinks everyone should have universal health care, education, income, and housing, he believes in equality for all, and he's pro-union, he's probably a hell of a person with a completely developed frontal cortex. Now working on a master's degree. Holy shit. Randall Shopping Center, yeah. Work for Joseph. Is it Joseph Spiess? He's gonna get a doctorate. Yeah. And I don't th I think that called Randall Road. She got it. Yeah. That was like the main drag, Randall Road, yeah. hmm And you saw about um the bombing outside the reproductive health facility in Palm Springs, right? Morning, Steve. I think everyone in politics should have a law degree. I'm going to get a political science degree, and then I'm gonna study and pass the bar. Mhm. Yep. Because I have like an understanding, and having an understanding about law, like being able to read it and it makes sense to you, and you be like, yeah, I get it. That's like half the fucking battle, is being able to actually understand the shit, right? Um, and again, never wanted to be a fucking lawyer. Had absolutely no desire to do that whatsoever, or get into politics. But you'd be surprised. You know what I've noticed? I burnt the shit out of my hand recently, right? Like the back, it actually looks pretty good. Actually looks pretty good. It's like very little, right? Uh, I haven't bit my nails since, and I bit my nails my whole life, and I burnt the shit out of myself and stopped biting my nails. Um, just funny how your brain works, right? Yeah, 16 dead. Yeah, I don't think, thank you. I don't think I have any open wounds. You can see those little skin hanging off this one. I'm not trying to pull it because I don't want to. I don't want to bleed my own blood. I don't want to make me bleed my own blood. You know what I mean? So, gosh. A violent tornado spawning storm tore across central U.S., leaving 25 people dead in Missouri and southeastern Kentucky. 18 deaths in Kentucky come on the heels of fatalities reported hours earlier on Friday in St. Louis. I mean, this is where my extended family is like from. Remember that right now. I want you to remember that at this time, Democrats and Republicans have both spoken out against impeaching Donald Trump. And I just want to point out those are the same elected officials too coward to say anything. And if you're scared, go to church, get the fuck out of politics. Um, yeah, yeah. That's one of the reasons I was like, this is going to be a little slower show today. There are a lot of people have died in the last like 24 to 48 hours because the government let us down. Uh, I tend to not. Hmm. If you can't be married, be made to care for people because of the position you're in, then you aren't meant for the position. You see them trying to destroy social safety nets, firing people without rehiring someone. But yeah, there are Democrats and Republicans that are railing against the impeachment of Trump. Yes. I'm wondering what the correlation between being against impeaching Trump and being a member of the Blue Dog Caucus are. Traitors among our midst. In the Democratic Party. Remember, 100 elected Democrats get money from AIPAC. Every single elected Republican took money from Russia. So if you ever wondered why the U.S. government feels awfully pro-Russia or awfully pro-Israel, it's because they are. Yep, we're hurricane season starts June 1, and we have fatalities from storms leading right up to hurricane season. You know, it's really unfortunate. Especially if you've been like cognizant of climate change like this whole time and it kind of feels like it's rearing its ugly head. But I've been a homeowner for like the last 7, 8 years. The average temperature's gone up. The average rainfall's gone down. The cold seasons are shorter. The hot seasons are longer. What the fuck are we talking about? This has become a temperate zone in 7 fucking years. What are we talking about if we're not talking about that? If climate change isn't readily apparent, it's in your face hole. I use I haven't really used much, to be honest with you. It's the one thing I suck at doing. I'm not good at taking my vitamins and putting lotion on, you know what I mean? I got to get better at it. Because I work with my hand. I hate saying I work with my hands, but like I have my hands on like a keyboard all day. Yeah. There's a reason I've said, like, I'm not a Democrat. I never called myself a Democrat. I voted Democrat. Yep. But there's a reason I've said we have to create the American Socialist Party. We have to have a pro-workers party, a pro-people party, right? One that is pro-union, pro-DEI, that wants everyone to have universal health care. Instead of aiding in the collapse of the healthcare system, right? By increasing the taxes on everyone but the billionaire CEO, right? You all but assure that all of those healthcare corporations would rather have you die than them go out of business. And again, I just want to point out the reason that you're in the position you're in. Yeah. The reason you're in the position you're in is because rich people have decided this is the end of the world and they're trying to hoard power and wealth as a means of survival. And your boy, me, I think they did it too soon, and that will be their downfall. Is that they think that this is a concentration of power and a hoarding of wealth, and that we're going to get away with it on our spaceship and pull the ladder up after us and escape. And you did it too soon. We're all still here. And oh, by the way, Gaza, where they're intending to go, Mars, where they're intending to go, let them. Let them. Let no one you know or care about ever go to Gaza or be dumb enough to take a trip to Mars. Because you ain't coming back. I'm just letting you know. I'm just letting you know. If you didn't know that already. Yep. Arkansas is calling for help and Donald Trump didn't respond at all. Yo, by the way, when you're the president of the United States, you're presiding over all 50 states. 51 if you're Donald Trump, if you're the guy after Don and he makes Canada the 51st, right? Yeah, Doc Rock said, or lose any profit. And that was when we were talking about healthcare providers would rather you die than cure you or give up profit. Yep. Oh, and by the way, there's this conversation being had right now that I want to pontificate on about Joe Biden's fitness for office. And it's mainstream media has chosen to paint Joe Biden as like shouldn't have run for re-election and wasn't fit for mentally for office. And I just want you to point out that, well, according to the same people, Donald Trump is a pillar of health. So, well, Zeke, the reason that you don't know who's against it is because we're not talking about something that was voted on. We're talking about opinions. We're talking about the outspoken thoughts on impeaching Donald Trump, and Democrats were against it. So it's not like you're going to find a list of people that voted not to impeach Donald Trump. That didn't happen. What happened was like shouting matches have been heard where um, largely there's two schools of thought, and I'm not going to try to say that one's valid and one isn't. Um, but in my opinion, there's a school of thought that says Donald Trump is a danger to himself and others and should not be holding onto the wheel anymore. And we need to use the 25th Amendment motherfucking yesterday. Okay? There's a whole bunch of people that feel like that school of thought is a little extreme. And they think that the courts are doing just fine and that we should just let him go. He's going to die eventually. And I'm dead ass. So there are two schools of thought currently. One is impeach his ass. He should not be making decisions. He's clearly fucking got dementia. He's senile. What the fuck are we doing? A whole bunch of people died that shouldn't have. He turned off the fucking early warning system in the NOAA and let people in Kentucky and fucking St. Louis die. That's just the most recent. 9 people died in ICE custody because Donald Trump refuses to use due process to exact his fucking deportation plan and instead is bent on kidnapping and fucking trafficking people. So there's a school of thought that says that guy shouldn't have that fucking job. And then there's other people that are like, nah, fam, the judges got it. So I can continue to fundraise, let him continue to do fuck shit so I can fundraise against it. Because he's also, anything he touches turns to shit. So any candidate he endorses is getting their ass beat. It's not close. Yeah. And the problem with Donald Trump is that he has no filter. He doesn't see friend or foe, he just sees foe. So everyone that is an ally to the United States is an enemy to him because they might hold him accountable, right? Remember, the whole point of Donald Trump and Elon Musk trying to get into power is to keep themselves out of the hands of the law. And then once they get into power, buy the law off, make themselves immune, right? You know who's fucking regretting that shit? Supreme Court. And I think that's why they've consistently voted against him, by the way, because they now recognize the problem that we have is that we made the president fucking immune. And again, that doesn't mean that he can't be tried for state crimes. So there's a reason Letitia James keeps popping up in the news. It's because she's about to pop Donald Trump in the jaw. That's about to happen. It's gonna happen one day. Left hook. I'm calling it. Financial left hook. Y'all got y'all got boxing on the mind, huh? I'd love to see Letitia James box his ears, but that's not real life. She gonna have to do it like figuratively. Yeah, I mean, you think about it, I think about how privileged I am all the time to not have to sleep in unclean air in rubble and be in complete darkness when it's dark outside and not have shade when it's light out. And not have temperature control. My house is 69 degrees. Nice. Year round. I think about how fortunate I am and how Israel's committing a genocide in Gaza. Free Palestine. I think a lot about how Vladimir Putin's not on the front line. 1 million Russian people have died. They're conscripting kids and the elderly into service and putting them on the front lines. North Korea sent troops to Russia to fight, and even Russia said that those troops were not prepared to fight and they had to be retrained before they were sent to the front lines where they were just slaughtered. To the point where North Korea no longer supplies bodies to Russia and instead just supplies ammo. Russia illegally invaded Ukraine. Slava fucking Ukraine. As someone that served in the Marine Corps infantry during a time of war, the most proud I have been over my brothers and sisters in service is the ones that have gone to the Ukraine and fought on the front lines. Those are the real heroes. Make no mistake about it. The best of us. Hmm. Because Russia is our fucking enemy. Just so everyone knows that we say that every day, even though our government doesn't say it. Vladimir Putin is not our ally. The Kremlin and Russia had bounties on Americans and paid up to $250 a mission in Afghanistan for the heads of Americans. So how the fuck you voted for Donald Trump, who shakes hands with Vladimir Putin and has been a Russian asset, Krasnov, for 37 plus years? Hmm. And that's forever. So people say politics doesn't matter. I would say these tornadoes in St. Louis and southeastern Kentucky and all those dead people's families would tell you how important an early warning system and the National Weather Service, how important those things are. And that the government shutting them down tells you how important government is, right? So all those people out there that are like, oh, I try not to talk, I love it when you meet someone and they're in charge of you and they like, oh, what do you do in your spare time? And I'm like, well, I love to play video games. And I try not to really talk about, and they say, well, what else do you do? Oh, I love football. Oh, so you play video games and love football? Hmm. What else do you do? And I'm like, oh, I host a daily live podcast where we discuss news and politics. And I, a 100% for life, if they're in charge of me or they're my boss or they're about to hire me, they say, oh, I try not to talk about it. How, how could you be in charge of other people? And they're like, how do you do that every day? How do I do what? How do you sit and talk politics and news for 90 minutes a day? Well, first of all, I didn't create this mess. So naturally, I can be pretty critical and help you fix it. It's not my mess, right? But your whole life is political. Hmm. Like everything you do is political or nearly political. You just you've been engineered not to have those conversations because of your family's behaviors at dinners. People stopped having these types of conversations about what's really going on. When I was real little, my dad used to read the newspaper, especially on the weekends, and we'd cut out news stories and we'd talk about the news and what was really going on in the world, and we watched momentous occasions together, right? When did that stop? When I turned 18, when I moved out, when my parents got a divorce. Haven't seen him since. Hmm. But we actually used to be able to just sit around, talk about what was really going on in the world. When you were younger, you weren't realize you were being indoctrinated. You had no fucking clue what was being taught to you and kind of baked into your brain hole, right? No conversation got us here having a conversation, Bob. Look at us, fucking adults. Same room every day, having a conversation about news and politics. I haven't been called an asshole one time. Stop typing that shit, Zeke. Um, Yeah. Your inability to talk politics, your inability to show empathy, your inability. Always hate it when people say like to see other people's point of view, because I only care about being correct. I literally don't give a shit about like my feelings don't matter. What matters to me is being right. So if you naturally oppose me and you're like, well, he wants to be right, so I'm just gonna play that. That's what my wife does. The woman I married, that I'm stuck forever in this little cat and mouse game where she either disagrees with me because she's my wife and that's what her job is, or she plays devil's advocate. That's what my wife does. It's cute, it's funny, it's predictable. You know exactly what's coming. Okay. But other adults that are like strangers to you shouldn't behave like that. You should be you should be able to and willing to have an adult conversation about politics. Mostly saying I don't know. I don't fucking know. It should be the lot of your answers to a lot of like political type questions that come down that pipe because you have no clue. Now my audience not gonna be that way. Anybody that's sat in my audience has seen I'll post the fucking sources for you. You can go find executive orders. You can go find the justice manual, right? Like we know where all that stuff is. That's what lent me to be like, maybe I get a political science degree, take the LSAT. This, you know what I mean? Like this is I found a thing I like, or that I understand. You know what I mean? Yeah, yeah. You know, I'm here. I'm here with you. One of the things I don't do, and you'll notice I don't scapegoat us, right? Like I don't sit around and take whatever causes a great deal of conversation in my chat and then make content, try and make money off it, right? A lot of people would be farming their podcast for additional. I try to be that this and right. I think for being the founder of the American Socialist Party, hosting a daily live podcast where you discuss news and politics, being like a football coach, making yourself pretty goddamn available for a football coach, right? Putting yourself pretty far out there for a football coach. Most football coaches, you know what I noticed about the two coaches that I've interviewed that I'll probably work for? 20 plus year careers and I didn't know their names. Like I didn't know who they were. The people doing the most are talking about it the least. Literally. You know what I'm saying? So I think sitting here 90 minutes a day, taking some modicum of accountability, right? When I'm wrong, when I've been wrong, I've come out and said, look, I'm wrong. Right? Remember when I said Joe Biden ratified the 28th Amendment? That turned out to not exactly be true. He just said it should be ratified. There is a difference, right? David Hogg being ousted among the Democratic Party because of apparently him going on Bill Maher's show and being misogynist and sexist a little bit at all. I think kind of got overshadowed by it being like corporate Dems v shooting survivor. No, I think we do need also people that want to run for public office because they're tired of school shootings. So if y'all could get on that too. I keep forgetting to ask when I'm interviewing for coaching positions at the high school level if the school does shooting drills. Mostly because they should be. End of the show. You know what time it is. Let's throw some Eat the Rich up. Maybe every now and then when we hit a super American moment in the show, we'll play Born in the USA. Hey, Brittany. Good to see you. Started a little late today. We usually donate platelets on Sundays, and you got to eat before you go. And my wife came into my office like 10 minutes before the show normally started and was like, "Hey, food's on the porch." Dane from Maine. Hey, Craig. Like, yeah, fuck Donald Trump. Right, we did our 90 minutes. I'm just kidding. Um, have a fantastic rest of your Sunday. Stay safe out there. Today's Save Our Trees protest. Um, plant a tree, trim a tree, care for a tree. Do not draw your initials in a tree. Cannot believe the news, Lord. Yeah, yeah. Pretty rough, rough ride this morning. Talking about our hearts go out to St. Louis and Southeast Kentucky, devastated by a string of tornadoes in the last 24 to 36 hours, coming on the heels of the sort of the defunding and what else did we say? They defunded NOAA and the National Weather Service and sort of fired all the employees. So yeah, I can't imagine. Again, I want to make sure I say this often. Defunding, yeah. You're very welcome. Like I said, we'll see you tomorrow. Have a good day. It's awful nice outside where I am for now, anyway. I think I'm gonna take the dogs on the little perimeter walk around the property and check for branches and stuff. Um, like I said, I'll be here tomorrow. You see me as a therapist, right? I know, it's easy to get caught up in like things that are said versus what actually happens, and you need someone that's like, it's not like they're building buildings, they're just shouting. You know what I'm saying? Like about impeaching. It's not like it's a tallied vote. It's just like apparently a big argument. You know what I mean? That's why you got to download the Five Calls app. Let them fucking know impeach his ass. What the fuck are we talking about?